Hello, everyone. Mike Arnold here, co-founder, Pat Trading Partners, along with Bob Iacchino, by the way, who will not be here today. He's got some conflicts, but will be here Thursday. So, hope everyone survived the little sell-off today, triggered by the Fed comments. Remember, that's why we review everything each morning, because we had the ISM non-manufacturing, which there was a little ripple behind the scenes with that, but really it was Brainerd's comments with the more rapid unwinding of the balance sheet. That's what threw the wrench into the gears today. And we got those momentum bars. There's actually a nice little double top pattern on the S&P. So that's why you always have to be available, aware of what's coming out during the day. Don't be caught off guard by stuff, because things in this environment, in the tactical trading environment, can change in an instant. Hello, Jake. Hello, Shashi. Boy, I can't speak today. Hey, Ken. Hey, Eric. Brainerd says they will take aggressive action to tighten monetary policy. Yeah, and that's beyond just the rate hikes, which we already knew. The market wasn't reacting to that comments. It was the balance sheet, aggressive tightening of the balance sheet. So that's what got the market. That's what got the market today. But it is still, has this triggered it back to full-blown bear market? No, not yet. Not yet. Could we see some continued selling pressure? Sure. Yes, we could. By the way, let's just glance at tomorrow while everybody's here. And before we do that, by the way, if you're new here, please do consider subscribing, ringing that bell, and hitting the like button. Longer term viewers, please leave some more comments and like the videos. So. Tomorrow, 8:30 Central, Harker. Harker is speaking. There we go. Then we have all the crude numbers, and then remember in the afternoon we have the FOMC minutes. I don't think there'll be anything in there to surprise anything. The big thing would be is if Harker says something that even riles it up more than today, which I don't think is really possible, unless tomorrow they come out with a slightly dovish tone just to calm down the markets right in the morning at the open. What a difference a day makes. Pretty decent sell-off in the mega caps. Remember, they can reverse anytime, especially Nvidia and Tesla. We'll take a look at a couple of those if anyone wants to. Rolling back into, remember, when you have the risk back on and the recession stuff, you tend to favor some of these healthcare stocks, which did pop today. So, again, keep that in mind. Some consumer staples did okay. But more sort of neutral. So let's see what else we have. Again, with the alpha, I didn't refresh this beforehand, but slightly into negative territory. Very so slight, so this can have an amplification on any up or down moves. But if you get an up move, it shifts to positive gamma really quickly. So if we get continued pressure, it could amplify it slightly. But this is really just trading around that neutral line. And let's just see this one if it refreshes for me. I forgot to do this before. It's been a super busy day. 70 is up slightly, but still under 90%, and I'm actually surprised at that. You can see here's the S&P. Let's just see before I get to this with some comments. Supply chain fix is what's needed to fix this economy. Well, you're not going to get a quick supply chain fix, and that's not going to fix the overall economy. There's just too many things at a tipping point already. Again, they should have been hiking over a year ago. They should have dialed stuff back. They should have dialed back. Remember, they just stopped with expanding the balance sheet last month. And you have embedded stuff with inflation. It's not just supply chain. Supply chain is an aspect of it, and that some of it will get remedied over time. But then you keep getting new disruptions with the supply chain. You have lots of shutdowns in China again, which isn't going to help anything. You have now again, even inflationary now with chickens in this country with all the bird flu going around the chicken and turkey population. So eggs, chicken, and turkey are going to get hit just because of this major bird flu stuff. So there's inflation pressures across many aspects of the economy, some which you can fix, like the Fed can't do anything to fix the bird flu chickens stuff. They can't do anything to fix the supply chain disruptions out of China. They can't do anything to fix the short-term shortage of automobiles and the massive inflation there. They can't do anything. They actually stoked the inflation with housing, keep continually buying MBSs, mortgage-backed securities, and keeping the mortgages at an artificially low rate. And now they stopped that, and look how much they've popped in the last month. Look at mortgages. They think they topped 5% today. So we can take a look at Nvidia, Paul. When the strategic reserves are stopped, and that's just, don't get me started on that. We could see something like that, especially, I think there is still major upside risk to oil. It's going to take something else happening, and then we could see a pop above that. Right now, I'm just watching for it to consolidate. Remember, oil tends to move really big, then sit in a consolidation area for a while, and then it can start another really big move. So we had the so far pullback this outside day, wiping out yesterday's little gain, but still not below Friday's low in here, and not below the rotation zone, and not even below this key support level becoming key resistance level becoming support. So there's still a ton of support, even on a pullback to the rotation zone and the 200. There's still major support. That's why I'm not super bearish yet. Yeah, could we still get some downward price action? Yes. But the pain trade is still to the upside. And we remember we got earnings starting next week. You also are in the buyback blackout period. So companies like Apple, they have to suspend their buybacks right now. So there's no buybacks going on this week. And then we get something like the Fed, the Fed speaker saying, we're going to run off the balance sheet a lot quicker. And that caught the market off guard. I'm sort of glad they're actually trying to jawbone the market and let them know that they're not kidding with inflation. I mean, that's good, but they kept the foot on the gas way too long. And now they're surprised that they're skidding across slick pavement in a thunderstorm and hydroplaning, and they're like, uh-oh, things could go wrong here. But you shouldn't be in this position. You shouldn't have been speeding with the thunderstorm going. So here's the double, or the head and shoulders after first and second targets essentially hit, is off the table at this point. The little, you can see it really nice. Here it is on the 1 hour, and you can also see it on the 4 hour. This little double that formed on the open. And this is why you have to be able to spot these patterns yourself. I can't do constant updates throughout the day. And we had momentum bars kick in, especially in the NASDAQ. You see here, momentum bars breaking below support, breaking below here, into a clear path move on the 1 hour. I hope everybody's learning to spot these things, because when you trade into this, remember, you can accelerate very rapidly. So we started even on the 5 minute. 5 minute, you started to get momentum, and then just choppy downward pressure all day. Let's get back to the S&P though. S&P, here's that double top. Breaking below here, all the targets hit, and then just continuing lower throughout the day. And this is a great area now to do the harmonics for overnight and tomorrow morning. But let's see if it's trying to put in a little low. It'll be interesting to see if we retest this low area during the Asian and European sessions, and then put in some bottoming pattern for tomorrow. If we do break down, we have this 45.01 to about 44.97 is a key area I'll watch for a reversal. And then below that, my next major cluster is 44.87 to 44.85, where I'll watch for, if we did break to lows below Friday's lows, I'm watching for another potential reversal pattern up there. For overnight on a rally, I'm just keeping an eye on about 45.43. By the way, aggressive buy above this on a 4-hour close above this last candle. So that's where it sits there. Back to the upside. Remember, this also is somewhat of a little clear path move, but you do have some pretty decent overhead resistance between 45.30 to 45.34. So even on a bounce in the Asian session, I'm watching for that to possibly roll over again into Europe. So that's what I will be watching. And we will update things tomorrow morning for other potential plays based off that overnight action. Just looking at this, remember I said that next cluster, 44.85, happens to be also right at the 200 and in front of the rising rotation zone. So that's very key for tomorrow. Make sure you highlight this area on your charts because I can't get super bullish unless we start getting major momentum below here. And then we even have the bottom of this prior zone with the support, a harmonic, and the 50. So there's lots of stopping points still to the downside. Okay, so that's sort of where we sit. And what's interesting to me is we still do have this could just be a short-term flag pattern pulling back into the daily rotation zone for one final push higher. There's a lot of stuff I follow that we still could get another push higher and then really start to put in a significant topping area. What would change all that? We start breaking below about this 44.50. That starts to change all that. So even if we push down here and find support even to the bottom of this flag pattern and then rotate back up, it's still, pull back within a major steep rally going into Q1 earnings. And then it gets off the table. We start breaking below here, the 50% harmonic and the 50-day. So that's what you can sort of keep an eye on. NASDAQ, with this little stuff, watching still for it is double the trigger. Now it is lower probability because the daily rotation zone's right in the way. So if you're trying to play this intraday, on a break below 14,725, I would not ignore 14,582 area. Why would I not ignore that? 50, the rising 21, which the rising 21 is the bottom of the rotation zone, which tests out pretty strongly, and 14,590, we had a prior significant level there. So that's where things can, when it's going against the daily rotation zone, like in this kind of pattern, it can come down, catch on that, and rotate back up. That's why it is lower probability. Again, the move up, reverse, clear path, move up, clear path, run back down. Now you do have another clear path going back up. So also keep that in mind. Let's just see with this slight little pause. So we break down. These harmonics now favor a retest of the lows if we roll over below 14,780. But even below that, you see here this little support zone right here. I'm moving up this other one that we already reviewed. But you see this little support zone right here. Resistance, support. You see how this, that's why it really helps to focus on candle bodies, not the wicks, because is it here? 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 You look at the candle bodies. Look at this. You can start spotting it really well. And then we have a harmonic. So if we do continue lower tomorrow, 14,676, I will be watching for potential bottom pattern. That's still in front of the 50 and 25. We break through there, the 21 and the 50. So then that's my next key area. That's, again, why I can't get super bullish. And even below that, we still have this major resistance becoming support area. To the upside, really, you just have to watch for this sell-off bar on this kind of momentum. If it starts getting upside, you have the 4-hour rotation zone right at the crossing, right at the 50% level. So that's on a rally, the area I'd watch for a pause right there. Dow. Again, we have that double coming up, spiking up, hitting the first and second targets, and then strong reversal, and then holding lower, bouncing off the support area 34,500 back from April 1st, Friday. So let's just take a look at this. And remember the Dow. Let's see this on the daily. Now the daily, yeah, interesting. This will be interesting to see if this triggers, because this is technically a valid head and shoulders on the daily. It's in head and shoulders mode for some reason recently. We went through a long period without seeing a lot of them. Now we're seeing a combination of a lot of potential doubles and head and shoulders. So I'm just going to map this out. It hasn't broken the neckline yet, so I'll pretend it could happen tomorrow, and this would be on a daily basis. Let's just see. Ooh, the final target takes it virtually back to the 62.5. So that could be sort of interesting. That could be interesting on the Dow. Definitely got to keep an eye on that. Dow actually, held up way better, only off 72 basis points today versus the NASDAQ. And remember, NASDAQ and the tech stocks most sensitive to interest rates, and they were down 205 basis points. So the Dow, I mean, you've got some just choppy area that made up this shoulder. I'm just going to put on my harmonics to the upside, though. Should we really bounce? Those are my levels, but really I'm watching. Let's just see how this corresponds. I'm showing you the kind of some of the shorter term analysis I do. So I'll be focused right about, see, that's right around the 62.5 and this prior support becoming resistance. So that's going to be on any level we bounce into Europe, Asia, or Europe. That's my key level if it can get that high. Russell, little double, first target, reduce, stop production, and then rolling over. So that is off. That's stopped out for a not full loss, a partial loss, and now breaking down, actually closing still into this prior support horizontal channel. So that will be interesting to watch for tomorrow, and closing below this 2052 level. So again, on follow through tomorrow, I'll be watching 2021 as the resistance level, and support level, and about 2082 as resistance. DAX still, and remember this closes earlier because European, but that's holding the 1 hour rotation zone. So I'm watching that closely when I wake up to see how the DAX reacts upon the European open. But below here, I'm watching for 14,200. Crude still in the bigger choppy triangle horizontal pattern. There's nothing much going on for me with crude right now. Just breaking down, but bouncing back again until we get out of some of this range. We could easily now roll over again, just retest this low area from Friday. Even on a bounce, I will watch for potential rollover and a retest of that area. Other than that, nothing to do from my perspective with crude right now. Gold and silver still caught in these horizontal channels, so nothing really to do. Silver looking like it's lower. Again, I would love to see it come down to this 2380 level, the final target on the head and shoulders. And gold, I would love to see come down, although it's holding up better than silver, but I'd love to see it come down to 1875. Notes, interesting today with this sell-off. Remember notes this morning, we got the close below the 62.5. I said on the live stream this morning, and that favors a return to the lower price action. The lower, and that was quick. So there was no rush into just buying notes with the market sell off. A lot of times when you see the market sell off, you see the rotation into notes and bonds, and they're still getting hammered. Now, what's interesting is the 10-2s are back above zero, but they could continue to steepen. It'll be interesting to see if they actually start settling below zero or they start their steepening. That's what is going to be interesting for me to watch from my perspective. If they've already started the steepening back up just in front of this next harmonic, I'm moving this down now lower because we virtually know that this next harmonics level's been hit. 119.30 and then 119.15. Let's peek at the yields. Here's what I talk about with the yield curve steepening. See, back above zero. So I wonder if it will continue its steepening now that it did break below zero. But the yields, looking at the 5-year, coming up here, what would be the next yields? Next yield level would be about 281, then 295. What else do I want to look at? Ratios. One of the growth, I'm keeping an eye on this too. Growth to value. We do have a potential double top. Not near triggering yet, but I will pay attention because we start triggering this. Then I will start watching for that major shift back into some more value and mega caps. Just a reversal, but still above the rotation zone and inside bar from yesterday. VIX. Potential double bottom. I know it was asked on Discord, is this a %B buy signal? Yes, it is. It just triggered against the daily rotation zone. Double bottom's confirmed, but not triggered on a closing basis. So this will be interesting to see if we get any pop follow through, but it is against the rotation zone, so lower probability. The one target I'll be focusing on is 2284. The custom mega cap index, also potential double top, but inside day from yesterday, so couldn't wipe out that it couldn't wipe out yesterday's whole move, and we do have a potential double top on this as well, so I will be keeping an eye on that. Now, I know we got asked for Nvidia. And this is the one, remember, I had Facebook and Apple were the two I was focused on yesterday with the plays from Sunday. Nvidia wasn't one of it because, again, it just rotated back up and now is breaking lower. This is lowest on my one of the lowest on my priorities for mega caps, and we're just getting so many similar patterns. So much stuff is trading in a similar pattern right now. So this, we could easily see a return. 249.50, 242.18, and those would be the first two major targets, and 234.76. Why would I focus on this target? Because it's prior. Look at this. This prior resistance becoming support. Let's see what that looks like on the daily. You're back below the rotation zone, and that target area right at the 200. So on a continued selling pressure, we could easily see Nvidia continue to drop. What would invalidate that? You get a close back above about 274 would invalidate it. What else do we have? Tesla Shanghai closed till April 10th, possibly April 18th. That is 32K units lost, probably 48K units this quarter. Yeah, that is, I mean, the plant closure just got extended, but you know, this is where we had the topping pattern already. As I said in this live stream, move up your stops. You can't get super bearish until it gets below 1055, but this is where again, you take off into strength. Yesterday I talked about a one more push higher, and this morning I said look at raising your stops, and you know, this was a pretty big rollover, especially since you got below that 110. Still there's support in here, but that's where I'd unwind something. Again, can't give you specific advice because I don't know you nor your account, because it could continue a bigger pullback. If these reversal patterns triggered, you think we get another push higher? Yes, I still think we get another push higher. I still do. I'll let you know if that changes. Again, you get a live, unless something happens to me, you get a live stream, multiple live streams every day. Not afraid to answer questions, not afraid to tell you what I think. I'm showing you the patterns though. We get all these, if we get enough of these topping patterns trigger, then we could just see a bigger pullback now, and then I'll take the final push off the table. But again, I wouldn't get into super bearish mode yet. Super bearish mode, there's still too much support in here. And we're hitting earnings seasons next week. Now we start getting through, like if this NASDAQ started breaking down through all the targets and getting to this final target with some momentum, then I'm going to watch on the next bounce to look for some longer term bearish plays. Longer term bearish plays then. Again, I'm not trying to call this. I'm trying to get positioned properly for the highest probabilities. I don't care. Now, we did get really close to the bottom here because we were watching for the big push up. But I'm not trying to buy this. I would rather buy this or this than try to buy this. And I'd rather sell or establish longer term for, I'm talking months. I'm not trying to establish a month or a 5 month long bearish position up here. I'd rather wait till the probabilities shift, and the probabilities don't start shifting until closer to this area. So could this still be a temporary pullback? Yes. And it's, market tries to cause the most pain to the most people. So, and too many people are, all right, the top's in, we're going to new lows. And that's still, these are the same people who were buying the dip last week, saying we're going to new highs. So there's still, people are going to get some whipsawed in here. I still think the pain trade's the upside. You're welcome, Paul. Sorry I missed. What's the percent B signal? It's this little line down here. It's based off of Bollinger Band percent B. It's based off a short-term little reversal signal that I'll release at some point. I like to do it on especially daily pullbacks to rotation zones and weekly pullbacks into rotation zones. When I get longer-term percent B buy signals in strong sectors, they're fantastic plays because you can at least count on a short-term bounce. And I love those short-term bounce plays because you can get in a position, look to unwind stuff, get a stop to break even, and if the thing keeps running, just let it run. Could you look at RS double top? Sure, I can look at a bunch of stuff. RS. Reliance Steel. Where did this top out with the, oops, hold on. I gotta see where this topped out. Just shy of that harmonic. So now if I would not go aggressive targets on this, I would use conservative targets because it's still a potential long-term play in steel. Here's your, it hasn't, what is that? 178.62, 178.54. So it's officially confirmed, not triggered on a closing basis. 170.48, and definitely would not ignore that target because it's so close to this prior. I'm just marking, normally I don't look at wicks, but I'm just marking this off for the sake of seeing where it lines up in terms of what a lot of people will focus on. So would not ignore that target. Could you easily come down to the full targets on this? Yeah, it's still in front of the 200. Let's see where that looks like on the weekly though. You are against the weekly, so I would focus on this first target. And this is something with steel, I'm still bullish unless the material sector tips over. Okay? Unless the material sector tips over, I'd be watching for a longer term buy pattern. And this is where I'd use that percent B stuff to watch, especially cycles rolling over. Watching for a cycle bottom and a possible percent B buy pattern for a rotation back up. And when I'm talking sectors, I mean, a plug for stuff I put up for free. So is that really a plug? It's not like I'm selling anything here. When I talk about your material sectors, okay, and why do here, material select. I can just do it here. XLB, And when I look at this, okay, see, remember I pointed this out. We still have a potential double top here, which is almost a horizontal channel now, but it's, you break down with materials, it will keep it in buy mode even if this pulls all the way back. So this is where it helps to look at the sectors. So your materials, which steel falls into, could pull back. So on the sector, you have that. On, let's see, RS, you also have this possibly tipping into a daily sell signal, but on a weekly basis, look, on my weekly system, which I use on stocks all the time, and you want to know when this tipped to a buy signal, tipped to a buy signal back in the 1st of June. So look, this was not a sell signal. This was not a sell signal. It's not just crossing above or below this line, by the way. That would be a very stupid system. You get whipsawed way too much. This could easily pull back and remain in a long-term buy signal. That's why I love this stuff. Putting together the sector, the stocks within the sector, and keeping everything in perspective. Would I be shorting this? No. Would I be watching for pullback buys? Yes. Let me know if that kind of stuff helps. Just trying to teach you stuff. That's what I'm trying to do here. Keep people learning how to do things from a more professional level than relying on a Reddit pump and dump board. Would you do OXY? I think it will go to 41. Occidental Petroleum. Let me just take a look at this on the daily. Again, we still have, I had this on from last week, and it looks like it's breaking down now. I got to update this little level. Remember, we got to update it to where it could cross the... So we have this head and shoulders pattern. Right at the daily rotation zone, see how this is still providing support with the neckline. We start breaking down from here. Let's take a look at that weekly. You might catch on about 52.82, but you get a slight little bounce off there, but you start going below there. It could easily return. My bets would be 46 to 44 on a bigger pullback. 41, could it get there? That is questionable for me. I don't have anything that points there. And the prior resistance becoming support is at 43. So back to you, John. I think it will go to 41. Could it? Yeah, it theoretically could. I would be watching for bottoming patterns given still the state of oil before then. And would I be shorting this? No. Not based on what's going on. This is using these targets for pullback areas and watch for longer term entries. Your cycle's starting to roll over. You had a divergence top up here. You're starting to roll over. You get back into the weekly rotation zone. I'll start looking for some serious buy patterns on a bunch of these things. Sorry, 51. Oh, you said 51 on OXY. I think you're going to go, yeah, 51 easily. That's the first target on the head and shoulders. Sorry, I didn't see that next comment. Yeah, easily 51. Easily. No, that only takes it back to March 9th's lows. And not even into the, yeah, there we go. So that's more realistic. Yes, you could easily see 51. Cat also triggered double top. Yes, it did. Yep. Let's just see where that. Again, we have some stuff rolling over. Would ignore the weekly rotation zone. It's in congestion. But first target 211.87 would not ignore a slight bounce there with the 50 there. And then look at that full target 207.20 right at the 200. Gotta love it. That's actually an interesting play right there. Thank you. I only have a double top on the NASDAQ. I have the head and shoulders on the Dow. How can I join your Discord, John? There's a link in the description. Just come back to this video. There's a link. It'll give you instructions. It's a $10 one-time fee. Again, I'm not trying to do this. Just helps offset some initial costs from getting everything set up. And then you can be in there. There's lots of posting. You want to know a great person to post in there? Sterling. He's not here right now, but he is a fantastic poster in there. What do you use, RSI and a harmonic? What do you mean, what do I use? I use, this is an RSI. It's a 5-period RSI. This is the %B. This is a stochastic RSI. I use for doing different cycle length stuff. Harmonics are always based off the projections and the highs and lows, and we have the harmonic retracements. I have videos up on that. You should go check those out. I resent it, Coco. Check your stuff. I resent it earlier today. Rivian, I rolled down my puts to free up cash. I mean, Rivian. Yeah, I mean, longer term, back to that weekly rotation zone, off that harmonic cluster right here, rolling back down. I completely agree with that. Rolling down your puts. And again, for retracement harmonics, look at that 62.5 close right at it. Look at that. I want to show another play, by the way. I'll show another play that I'm watching. What was that? 42. Oh, I hate when this 42.30. It's roughly there. We're roughly right closed on it. But again, I like your roll down, Abraham, rolling down your puts to free up cash. Because, yes, this could easily, with this kind of close right at that 62, this could easily retest these most recent lows. Easily. That's almost, so you have, that was a little, I liked your play there with rolling those down. Good job. Your next key areas, though, those are going to be, that's going to be really low price action. Your next below this 33 areas could be all the way to 24. And the shorter ones, for your shorter term put plays, this is where you can use the reverse harmonics. So if I was doing something on a very short term, we break below these lows back from March 15th. My very short term to structure like put plays or something else would be 30.55, 27.64. That would be my very short term levels. My medium term level would be 24.21. Send me another email and I'll respond to it again right when this one's done, Coco. Please. I'll respond to it as soon as I'm done with this live stream. One thing I'm watching for, we got Restoration Hardware. Really interesting here. Here's the gap play. So I got the gap harmonics on here, stalling out today at the right at the 62.5, but I'm going to be watching. We get above this, it's a gap fill play the upside. We also have a gap fill play to the downside. So we actually have dueling gap fill plays. So this could be either direction, little interesting gap fills. So I already showed you the one to the upside, which was virtually today's highs. You start getting some closes above there, gap fill to the upside play. We start getting closes below here, the gap fill. Here's your 62.5. I'd even start watching it below today's low, targeting the gap fill to the downside. That's something interesting if you want to watch and learn how to play some of these gap fill plays. So that's interesting both ways. All right. Thank you, Coco. I'll check again as soon as I'm done. But that could be interesting up or downside gap plays with Restoration Hardware. How can Rivian be pumped to 179 and start taking profits? It's now 40. It will not bounce and gives a good results. Again, it's overvalued, but these markets have been just decoupled from reality for a long time in a lot of these stocks. Tesla, there you go. Here, you wanted something that's disconnected from reality? This. It went back into the hyper pump, gamma squeeze, bigger than the other top 20 auto manufacturers in the world combined. But we don't need to harp on that. I announced that Bob could not be on today. He has a conflict. He'll be back on Thursday. And remember, we do have this key gap fill here. So I will not be surprised to see that fill on market weakness. Anything else we want to look at? Let's just glance at Apple. Again, we have this potential double on Apple. Keep that in mind. A lower probability since it is against the rotation zone. And I don't know if was this an inside bar today? I didn't check that. 174.44. Yes, no, it was not. So that's the key thing. Could it come down here and test support and then move back up? Yes. First target's virtually at the 50, and you have this major ramp up move. It'll be interesting to see if that triggers. I'd be using that as if you've been long on this major ramp up with Apple, considering they can't do any stock buybacks the rest of the week because of earnings seasons. You could see a continued pullback in there. Late getting here, I was talking about you early, Sterling, and all your great posting in Discord. Took a very small YOLO options positions in the VIX this afternoon. Thoughts? I did respond. I did not see that pop up earlier. VIX, I did look at that earlier. Is that the wrong one? Here it is. We have this double. You asked if it's a daily %B buy signal. Again, it's against the rotation zone, so I'm targeting 22.91 to 23 bucks. Or 23, I can't say bucks, 20 on this, but that's what I'm talking. If we continue to follow through with the sell-off, that's where I'm targeting. It's just a short-term play. But yes, this was a %B buy against the rotation zone, keep in mind. So you are constrained and you did not trigger the double yet, you just confirmed it. We can check Twitter. I was doing the gap fill play on this. That's why I have these other harmonics up here. So here we closed below the 62.5 from this gap. And I'm watching we've already returned to that 87.5. I'm watching for the final gap fill play for that gap. Tomorrow, we stalled out. Sorry, I have the other. You can't see. I'll put the other thing back on. I put up this morning, this 54.60 area with the harmonic. The high got to 54.57. And then coming back down, hitting the next harmonic, and then just rolling down, still watching for this gap fill. Beyond there, and this is getting into a toppy pattern here. If we start breaking below about 49.90, then I'm watching for a quick, pretty retest of 48.80. And then the next gap fill play for me, and this will die out again. Next, what's interesting is the low from yesterday's right at the 50% level. So I will probably start front running stuff on a potential bigger down move should we break below that 50% level based off shorter term price action. If you get a push up tomorrow, since it is against the 1 hour rotation zone, your key levels for tomorrow, I would not ignore this about 53 area on a push higher. We can look at Tesla gap fill plays right now if you want. The Tesla gap fill play, based off of spiking up right to that next harmonic area. 62.5 level is at 1064. You start breaking below about 1075, I'd be targeting 1064. That would be my first warning sign. And then you close below there, then I'm watching for that gap fill play. I could get a little bounce off 1039, so that's an area I'd lower a stop though right here. A harmonic, the prior 62.5 from this up prior major harmonic and this resistance area. So I would not, do not ignore this area if you're going for a gap fill play to lower stops. Again, educational purposes only. Why did I pick that? I will teach from the educational purposes only, because let me pull off these most recent ones. See, we have this major harmonic. That's the harmonics from the lows back from the 23rd of February back to the all-time highs. That's the 62.5. And it happens to be this major resistance area becoming support. So that's where it'd be a stop lower before, because you could see a bounce and then a rollover play. Do you like spreads for gap fills like that? And you could do a weekly. If you're playing with options, I'd be only using weeklies. But yeah, you can do spreads, especially to offset any of the volatility components. And that's where I like to do at the money, then target the out of the money at or near that full gap fill play. So back to Restoration Hardware. You know, your strikes, I'd be looking around 360s would be, if you don't gap fill play the upside, if you're doing just a call spread, would be I'd be targeting the 360s would be my at the money play. Then my out of the money would be closer to 385s. And for the downward, I'd be targeting you know, you could go with 345s even, and then a play to about 330s. That's how, and that would be a put spread. And that's if you're buying premium. And if you're selling premium, then you'd be selling the call. I mean, you'd be selling for the upside move. You'd be selling the puts here and looking to buy the puts back, and that would be a credit spread. And vice versa to the downside, you'd be looking to sell calls here and buy them back here. Or Euro US dollar. Yeah, Euro US dollar broke down from the, let me take off this other flag. Euro US dollar definitely broke down from a flag pattern. Yep. Favor retest of the lows there. Bitcoin, if you have a moment. Sure, Geo Mission. Thank you for being here, by the way. I really appreciate everybody tuning in. Thank you so much. Bitcoin still watching for that next push higher. Nothing's changed. Close below 44,582 would start lowering the probabilities. Other than that, just a sideways base hugging the daily rotation zone. You don't really want to close back below this key major on a daily basis. You don't want to close below there because that would take it below the daily rotation zone. Other than that, I'm still watching for one more significant push higher in cryptos. Same with Ethereum. Ethereum, the key support area is coming back at about 32.45. Let me mark that off for you right there. I'd actually go a bit lower than that though with the rotation zone. But again, I'm for both Bitcoin and Ethereum watching for one more push higher after this corrective move. XLF getting interesting again, has just about completed its double top on the daily and is right at the 50% retracement from the latest swing. Lots of long dated puts sold today. Again, yep, there's your XLF. I covered that in the sector overview, real close, that longer term thing. And if you want the longer term thing, see coming right back down. So it'll be interesting to see if this tips into a long-term sell signal or not. Right here, it has not yet, and that would only be on a weekly basis close, and it's not just a close below here. So remember, I think I said on the sector overview with that double top, we could easily see a return to here, and then it will have to be reassessed. So we were going to watch for a bounce or potential if it does shift to a longer term sell signal again. Thank you for pointing that out. Thank you. So this is area to start watching for key support. Even if it dips back down and fills this gap, I'd be watching it for where the weekly close is. I can't get super bearish until this triggers a long-term weekly closing bearish pattern. Sorry, I've already discussed joining latest. So daily on ES, a valid double top? No. The ES is not a double top. The NASDAQ is. There is no double here. It's actually just this pullback flag pattern. You can go watch what my comments were on this on the replay. It's right at the beginning. Just to recap, NASDAQ is a potential, but you are against the daily rotation zone. So it is lower probability. This is paid for two people here, not members of the Discord. First two to respond. Yes, and I'm already dealing with Coco with the incorrect link. So thank you, Sterling. If two more people are not members of the Discord and want, Sterling just sponsored you. Sterling sponsored you, so email me, support at Path Trading Partners, and I will send you information. Are you bullish on NASDAQ? Again, we could see a bigger pullback, but I'm not super bearish yet. I've talked about that earlier, not super bearish. I'm still watching for another push higher. I can't get super bearish. Go watch my comments until down here. We could even trigger this double top, and that would not push me into super bearish mode just yet. ES potential head and shoulders. There was one on the Dow. I didn't look at the S. Yeah. I didn't look on this. I should have pointed that out. Let me map that one out. That is a valid one. Let me take a look at that daily. It's harder to see here. The one you're talking here, well, the way we do it. It'll be interesting to see if this triggers. Sorry. I hate drawing this, turning on and off the magnets. I'm just going to drag it over here first, and then I'll change it to the so there's your pad. That would take it back potentially to 40.38. I'd really be focused on this 44.06 level. Again, lower probability against the rotation zones. And first target even beyond the 50. So we will keep an eye on that. Again, I'm not watching. These would just be short term, not putting on long term downward, long term put plays or long term bear plays just yet. These would be short term plays for me. So thank you, Rich, for pointing that out. Again, Rich, even though we don't always agree, a wonderful member of this live streaming community. I appreciate you being here all the time, Rich. With that, I'm not seeing anything else, so I'm going to wrap this up. Ooh, we went nearly an hour. Nearly an hour. By the way, if you are new here, please do consider subscribing, ringing that bell, and hitting the like button. Longer term members and viewers, please come back and comment on the videos. I will get out the links for Discord very shortly. Remember, email me, support@PathTradingPartners, and I'll address it in Coco. I will take care of you as soon as I am done. Again, live stream tomorrow. Sorry, I just have to lock that again. Live stream tomorrow for the open so we can analyze the price action and figure out a game plan for tomorrow. Until then, I will talk to everyone later. Bye for now.